Hey guys, we're going to take a look at the equipment that you need for the Seacoast Men's Hike. Now, everything that you need might not be in this video, but most of what you need should be represented here. We'll start out with the backpack. You need a 65 to 80 liter backpack, similar to the one pictured here, one with an internal frame that looks like this one. Mine is an Osprey, similar to this one. I think it's a 70 or 75 liter Osprey. It's worked really well for me for years. Completely empty. These should weigh about 3 to 5 pounds. They're pretty lightweight. If this is something you want to invest in, you don't currently own one, I highly recommend going to REI or Half Moon Outfitters and let them fit you for one. You can try on a few of their models, find one that works really well for you. Ask the leaders on your team about a discount code. Very often we will have a discount code with REI and Half Moon Outfitters that'll give you about 10% off, save you a little money. So ask about that. If that's too expensive, let them fit you for one, find one you like, maybe go online, see if you can find a better deal on it. If that's still too expensive, maybe even go on Facebook Marketplace and try to find a used pack. If you do that, just make sure it's in good shape, that the seller is highly rated, and that they're not selling you a piece of junk that's going to fall apart on you on the trail. So, um, if that's still something you don't want to invest in because these can be kind of expensive, we got a big pool of hike equipment out there with all the guys that have hiked over the years that are not going to be hiking this time. We got a big pool of equipment that we can borrow from. So talk to your logistics lead on your team about borrowing a pack if you don't want to invest in one. I'm not going to read through the other bullet points on this slide. You can pause the video. Just make sure that your pack meets these characteristics, and you'll be fine. So. All right, next, a tent. 1 to 2 person tent is ideal. Weight is a big consideration here. If all you can get your hands on is a 3-person tent, that's fine. Just make sure it's a lightweight or ultralight 3-person tent. You want to be less than 6 pounds on this. Again, you're just looking at the cumulative weight that's going to go in your backpack that you're going to have to hike around with every day. You're going to want a 3-season tent. Anything less than that, you're going to be too exposed. The mountain's very unpredictable with weather, and we have had hikes that have gotten very cold at times. So you don't want to go with less than a 3-season tent here. The one pictured here on the bottom left is a 2-man REI tent. This is similar to mine, works really well. I love it. The one on the top right is what they call a bivy. Some guys hike with these and love them. They're very small. They are truly a one-man tent. There's really no room in there except for you and your sleeping bag. I don't like them because I'm claustrophobic. Reminds me too much of a coffin, but they're small, compact, and lightweight. So that's a possibility. Some tents will come with a footprint, which is a tarp. That's the size and shape of the bottom of the tent that you put down on the ground, and you lay your tent on top of it. This helps prevent dew or moisture from coming up into the bottom of your tent and provides a little layer of insulation. If your tent does not have a footprint, you can go look for a tarp that's roughly the size and shape of the bottom of your tent. Some guys will even go to construction sites and get some of that wrapping that goes on the exterior of houses underneath the siding and cut that in the shape of the bottom of their tent, and that seems to work well for them. This is another item that you don't have to buy if you don't want to invest in buying one. Again, we got a big pool of equipment. Talk to your logistics lead about potentially borrowing one if you don't want to invest in it. Whichever route you go, do yourself a favor, whatever tent you end up with, set it up in your backyard ahead of the hike, ahead of leaving. Make sure it's in good condition. All the parts are there, nothing's broken. You don't want to get up on the mountain and break out your tent for the very first time and find out that something's missing or something's broken and your structure is compromised and you got rain pouring in because it's not sound. So set it up beforehand, get the rain fly on it, maybe even get the hose out, sprinkle it with water to simulate rain, make sure it's got no leaks, that it's all sound and squared away. Okay, an option besides a tent is a hammock. If you've not done a hammock before, I don't really recommend it. But if it's something you want to try, talk to one of the leaders that is used to sleeping in hammocks, that's accustomed to it. Talk to them about it, get their advice on it. see if you can borrow one, try it out in your backyard, lay in it for a while, see if it's something that you'd be comfortable in on the hike. So you got to make sure you got a rain fly or tarp to keep the rain off you, and that it's got bug netting. We got a lot of little critters and insects and stuff that'll climb all over your structure at night. You don't want those getting in bed with you. Also, if you do end up going with a hammock, you got to have a sleeping pad that goes underneath you or an underquilt, because you've got open air underneath you and no insulation, no ground to stop the air or wind. You got to have something underneath, inside that hammock underneath you to insulate you. So, okay. All right, next is a sleeping bag. You want a 3-season bag that's rated to 30, from 30 degrees Fahrenheit down to 15 degrees Fahrenheit. Some guys who get cold easily will even invest in a 0-degree bag. Like I said, weather's unpredictable up there, and we have had hikes that have gotten pretty cold, and a 0-degree bag comes in handy when that happens. Most of the time, a 30-degree bag is fine. An in-between option is a 15-degree rated bag. If you do go with a 30-degree bag, just make sure you got your emergency blanket nearby where you can break it out, bring it into the sleeping bag with you, wrap it around you. That'll help trap in the heat real nicely. And we'll go over what a emergency blanket is here in a little bit. You want to be maximum 3 pounds on a sleeping bag. The goose down bags are really lightweight. They're comfortable. They tend to be more expensive. And if they get wet, they take a long time to dry. The synthetic ones, less expensive. They're heavier than the down bags, but if they get wet, they dry quickly. So a little bit of a trade-off there. All right, a sleeping pad, not just for comfort, but also for insulation. This is a required item as well. Just like the guy pictured here, you got a sleeping pad that goes underneath you while you're in your sleeping bag. Some sleeping pads are designed to go inside the bag with you. That's fine. You just want a layer in between you and the ground. The ground can pull your body heat away from you very easily and quickly. You've got to have a layer in between you, and that's what the sleeping pad is for, as well as a little bit of comfort. They've got the inflatable ones. You can buy them on Amazon, at REI, at Half Moon, or the closed cell ones, which you got some foldable ones and other ones like that. So, but you're going to need a sleeping pad. And these are both for tents and hammocks, unless you have an underquilt for your hammock. Okay, pillows. They have the inflatable ones or the memory foam. Those are a little bit heavier. Inflatable ones you can buy off Amazon, or of course at REI or Half Moon. I've had several that I've bought off Amazon. I think most of them have sprung leaks on me, so I abandoned those pillows a long time ago. I just got one of those dry bags, the mid-size dry bag, and I'll put my extra set of clothes in it, put that under my head, and I'll use that as a pillow. It works well for me. All right, trekking poles. These are absolutely required. Don't think that just because you're in good shape, you got strong legs, that you're not going to need trekking poles. You're going to need trekking poles. We're going to very likely do water crossings. We've got some steep pitches that you got to hike up and down. You're going to need trekking poles. I've got the mid-grade ones that I bought from Walmart years ago. They've worked really well for me every year. They weren't very expensive. This is another thing that you can borrow. You could ask your logistics lead about borrowing that. Just make sure they're telescoping, extendable, lightweight. They've got handle straps. A camp chair. So you're going to want something to sit on when you're in camp. Sitting on the ground or a log is not as great as you might think it is. You're going to want a chair to sit in. This is another thing that you could potentially borrow. There are several models out there. You want to make sure it's lightweight, between 3 and 5 pounds. Okay, a headlamp. This is a required item because you're going to need to navigate around the campsites at night, to go to the bathroom, to look for wood sometimes, whatever. You're going to need a headlamp to do that. And you're going to want the one with the band around it that you can put around your head. The ones that clip the hats and everything, those are okay, but I think the headband ones are better. Energizer makes several models. They're not that expensive. 2+ brightness modes are helpful, not required, but being able to go to a dimmer brightness mode so you don't blind everybody around you is nice. Some of them have the red light mode that help with that even more. Make sure you bring an extra set of batteries for these. So I think most of these take 3 AAA batteries. I'll just get 3 AAA batteries, put in a snack size Ziploc bag and pack those. And for the batteries that are in the headlamp, do yourself a favor. When you're packing and hiking, flip one of those batteries in there around backwards. So that way, if you happen to, depress the button accidentally, and it turns on in there, you're not going to bleed out and drain the batteries on that. And then when you get into camp, you can flip it around the right way and it'll work for you. Okay, multi-tool. These are handy, come in very handy. I have found that if you've got 1 or 2 of these amongst the hike team, if one or two guys has got a multi-tool, you really don't need to bring one. That's plenty for the hike team. If you do want to bring one, make sure it's lightweight. It's got a carrying case or clip that you can clip it to your belt or to the pack or something like that. But this is an optional item.